Hi, everyone, and welcome to Highlight Her. I'm Jenny, and each week I sit down with women entrepreneurs to talk about their stories, the inspiration behind what they're building, and the next steps in their journey. Consider yourself sitting in the third chair at our virtual table. Today, Chelsea joins us. She's the founder of GoTox Aesthetics and Wellness. I'm excited to learn more about her journey because she has not one, but two brick and mortar locations in only 5 years. I think that's pretty amazing. Hi, Chelsea. Thank you for joining us today.
Hi, I am so excited to be here. Thank you for having me on the show.
Before we dive into your business journey, I'd love to start here. What's the moment in your business recently where you thought, this is why I do this?
Every day. One, and I had an interview earlier today and we were talking about this, and the question earlier was one piece of advice you could give to people if they were heading into this industry. And it kind of ties in with exactly what you just asked, in that I I said you have to have a passion for what you do, because it is a 24/7 job. It
Mm,
truly, it does not end. It is not a 9 to 5. But what we get from changing patients and helping give them confidence back, if it's, say, acne scarring, or if it's something that they've been dealing with for years, to be able to give them that bit of confidence back, to where somebody can say quite literally, you've changed my outlook and you've changed my self-confidence and you've given me something that I've been self-conscious for, and you've fixed that, and I've been dealing with this truly for 20 plus years. That is rewarding to me. And that is why we do it. That's why we're away from our kids. That's why we're putting in 12 plus hour days every day, building a community, kind of like with what you're doing. It's just, that is rewarding. The people that you get to meet, and being able to just change somebody's life in an easy way, even if it's just coming into our place because it's a break from everything they may have going on, if they're just coming in for a facial. But to be able to do that is extremely rewarding. So that is what kind of, that's the motivation. But lately, I feel like we've just had a lot of that. And with my recent health, I've had just having that community to go in every day and have people there being as supportive and sharing their stories, has just,
mhm.
we've created kind of a family environment.
I can't imagine hearing those words, you've given me my confidence back or you've changed my life. That just must really bless your heart.
It does, because it's
That's
something, it's so simple. And I think when we're so busy and people just, I think we get a lot of patients who come in for the first time because
mm,
Botox, for example, they'll think it's always something that's either out of their reach or something that we don't like to spend money on ourselves a lot of times. So
mhm.
but yet the confidence that you might get from that, when we put everybody else first all the time, that one little thing that we might be able to boost our own confidence with, can make a huge difference for some people.
Absolutely. I love that so much. So let's rewind a little bit. How did your Botox aesthetics journey begin?
Yeah, I'm actually a nurse anesthetist. So I've been doing anesthesia for a little bit over 10 years. It started out, I think, like a lot of I think COVID changed a lot of us in healthcare all around.
Mm,
Um, Instead of, I think we got a little bit burnt out. All of us did when we were going through that. So instead of picking up extra time at the hospital, I figured, why not start Botox on the side? So it started out as something on the side, but then I quickly learned that with type A personality, nothing exists on the side. So it then evolved into what it is. It slowly just grew and became a whole business. And then I think where we stood out, or at least I like to think that we somewhat changed the approach in aesthetics. We take a little bit more of a holistic approach versus, I mean, we can just do Botox and be a quick fix, but we also try to look at everything. We try to do regenerative things. So even if you don't want Botox, what can you do to help maintain the health of your skin, so that we don't have to accept that we're going to have thin, wrinkling skin. There's some simple things you can do to maintain your skin. So it's more of a holistic approach. And that's kind of, I think, where it evolved, because that isn't just Botox on the side. kind of evolved into a whole aesthetics and wellness company.
What did your early days look like?
It was in a hair salon, a wonderful business in Trenton, 2 of them. The beauty parlor was Jessica, and she's starting a beautiful place called the Stick Seed Inn. Jessica Kirksey is her name.
Ooh.
She is in Trenton, so we started out renting a room in her hair salon and then got a little bit of a bigger room at another great business, Elevate in Trenton. And then I found the building. And I've been very blessed in both of my brick and mortar locations that I don't know, God was sending me some signs. Both were dental offices, both already had everything, both had just been redone. So we found the building for rent that needed nothing other than to move in and decorate. And it was a beautiful space. So that was what I needed because I had someone with me starting up, but we built with nothing. We didn't have loans to start, family money. We had nothing. We literally started with $2,000 in a prayer.
Wow.
It started. So I didn't have the money to pour into a building. So we were blessed enough to find the space that we have, and we've been there since. And same thing with our other location. Somebody had just redone it, and I just had to move in, so I couldn't pass it up. So we went from just a small one-room place to the 2 beautiful locations we have now.
That's so exciting. Did you have a learning curve for something specific when you started as you went along?
Thoroughly understand something, but then there is a learning curve. It's just like getting anesthesia. There's a learning curve. You can read 50 textbooks and graduate with a 4.0 and be the smartest person in your class, but there's things that you just learn from doing it. I now can look at somebody and know what drugs to give them to put them to sleep, for example. I know how to wake people up. There's so many things that you learn that you don't learn from a textbook or from taking a class. It's just skill. And that takes time. It took time with the anesthesia and it takes time with aesthetics. It's exactly the same. I know from making mistakes and if you ever find an injector or any medical provider that tells you they don't make mistakes, then I would run because it's part of what we do. And you have to approach everything with the knowledge and make sure that you are always basing everything off of skill, science, experience, and education. And you have to learn as you go sometimes. It's an art, comes with time. It comes with time and with doing it. And there's never a day where we're going to know everything. But yeah, it's a skill that you learn as you go.
What surprised you most about being an entrepreneur?
I don't know. I still feel like I don't consider myself an entrepreneur, as crazy as that sounds. I feel like I'm
Believe it.
a small, tiny business.
Aw.
In my mind, I think what surprised me the most is the community that I've gotten from it because I've met so many wonderful people through just business networking. It used to be just I'd go to work and you meet your coworkers, but you go to work and you go home and that was it. And so just the kind of the community and how supportive a lot of people are is I guess it filled a niche that I didn't realize I would have appreciated.
That's an excellent observation that it fills a niche for us, right?
Mhm.
And you've mentioned community more than once. So I think I want to say that you say you're a small business, but I see you everywhere. I see you all over social media and doing all these events. And I think you're definitely the community recognizes you and knows you. I think that's wonderful. Is there something about running your business that people don't see from the outside?
The time and the heart that we all pour into it. Every single person in my staff. There's so much that it truly doesn't stop when I say, I mean that when I say that. And I know that every single one of my staff, it's the same way. We are constantly thinking about our patients. It not only answering questions and doing things, we are always available 24/7. But on top of that, I am not kidding when I say I'll be driving in my car thinking about somebody's Botox, somebody's kids event that they had, wondering how it went all day, every day. It does not stop. So we really do pour our hearts into what we do. And I think people feel that when they come in and they probably see that, but there is thought and heart put behind every single thing that we do.
How many do you have on your team?
10 if you include our nurse practitioners. So we have some nurse practitioners that do our functional medicine. We have 3 of them. We have can't forget my lovely medical director, Dr. Panagopoulos, is an anesthesiologist that I work with, or used to work with at the hospital. And then we have 3 estheticians. We have front desk, and then Jen is my right-hand man.
What's amazing. You started with 2 and now you're at 10?
Yeah, it's
So
lovely.
when I look from the outside and I see that you have 2 brick-and-mortar locations in 5 years, to me, that seems a short time. And I'm guessing that it didn't feel like a short time, but it's just amazing to me that you have 2 locations in 5 years. Does that surprise you? Does it feel short, long? What kind of reaction do you get when you hear someone else talk about it?
I think I'm crazy. And our second location is really more of a by appointment only. Like I said, we've gone very slow. I always say I could just hire somebody and throw them in there Monday through Friday. But I don't want to do that. I now have a staff I can trust wholeheartedly. I know that if they're out there injecting, they're going to do it with integrity and skill and education. And that we've cultivated that environment at Wyandotte. And so right now it's just us going out there 1 or 2 days a week to keep that one going, as opposed to just hiring someone and putting them out there. So it's not open completely. And then I do have an esthetician that rents out a room over there as well. So it's a little bit more of a boutique style building over there, which I kind of like because, like I said, I'd rather keep people that I can trust and that I know they're going to be doing what's in the best interest of the patient versus just hiring somebody to put them out there full time. But yes, it kind of just fell into my lap. There's days where I think I'm crazy and what was I ever thinking? And then you just keep plugging away. And then all of a sudden I'll look back and another 6 months has gone by and another 6 months has gone by. And it's built. It grew and it built. And I think as long as you just go slow and do everything with integrity and know you're going to make mistakes along the way, you hope for the best sometimes. There's things I do that won't work out and there's things that do work out, but you never know which one is going to work out.
That's a good point. Yeah. How did you end up with the second location? Because in my head, it doesn't seem close to downriver.
Our medical director is out there. So he lives in Grosse Pointe. So I was already going out there once a month for family and friends. So they said, why don't you just get a second place out here? So I went out there to rent a 1-room suite, kind of like I started out here in downriver, and then ended up with a whole building.
That's fabulous. So you actually went there due to demand.
Yeah, because I had a few established clients out there already. So, and they were coming down to Wyandotte. Or I was, like I said, going out there. So I went out there just to maybe do like 1 day, a couple days a month. And then, like I said, found that beautiful building that they had just redone. That was everything I needed.
Fantastic. Was there ever a moment either through starting the aesthetics practice or maybe with your second building where you thought about quitting?
Yes. No, I wouldn't say quitting, but I've had many, many moments where I thought, what was I ever thinking? Many times, but then it ends up working out and but I think that's business. My whole life, my family doesn't own businesses. My whole life's been nursing and you get a degree, you go to school, you then get a job and you work and you go home and you're done. And that's it. There's stability. You have insurance, you have disability, you have all these things. And so there's many times where I think I thought, what on earth was I thinking? But that's part of having a business as I'm learning. And you, like I said, you learn as you go, but it's always been worth it in the end because you'll get through those bumps. You figure it out, you divert. Nothing happens overnight. That's also a hard lesson to learn. There's many times where I'll get an idea in my head and I just expect it to just magically work out great, and it doesn't. And you have to accept that sometimes. But yeah, especially in lieu of my recently with my health when I didn't know what was going on and I was facing PET scans, CAT scans, everything. And I thought, if I worked at the hospital, I would have just I could take half of the stress would be gone. I could just take time off of work if I had to have surgery or treatments and I'd be fine. And then now what do I do? Like nobody pays when I'm not there working. And then you have staff under you. So it did add an extra element of stress onto everything. But it always works out. And then that's when I step back and I look at my team and the amazing people I have around me. And then again, I have that moment of, okay, calm down. This is why you're doing what you do. You've built this and I'm just very blessed that I have an amazing team with me where I can take time off if I needed to.
How do you push through those moments when you're thinking, why, what in the world did I do? Oh my word, I'm just can't fall into place.
I go into my crazy planning. I always say that with so many facets of my life. I've always just said I am the type of person where no matter what I'm facing, I have to get a plan. If I have a plan, I'm good. It's when I don't have a plan or when I can't make a plan that I stress. Perfect example was when I was between my 2 scans. I had a CAT scan that wasn't great. And I had to do a PET scan in 2 weeks. In that 2 weeks, I had no idea what I was doing. That was the worst 2 weeks because I couldn't make a plan. I couldn't do anything. But when you have a diagnosis, it's the same as with business. If you have an end goal, but you're not going to get there right away. But if I have a plan, then I can plan it out. If my books are slow, I have a plan to get them back up so then I don't stress about it. If I don't have a plan, that's when you have a goal, but you have to navigate a way to get from A to B. But planning and getting a strategy together is how I've always tried to get through those times where I thought, what was I thinking?
Good advice. Has entrepreneurship changed you as a person at all?
I do think it has in multiple ways. I think it's given me a little bit of a different perspective and a different outlook, more patient and less patient. There's many times I've had to bite my tongue in the business. And that's a hard pill for me to swallow because I don't do that easily. But you have to if you're in the service industry. And there's times where I have to, if somebody's frustrated with something, you have to put your entrepreneur hat on and deal with things a little bit differently than I may have dealt with otherwise. So I think I've increased my patience that way and then reduced my patience because then there's other times where it's hard. It's hard, especially with kids, where I'll be home and I lose my patience with my children because you're all day working 12 hours, 16-hour days. You come home and then there's no silence there either.
Yes.
So it's constantly going until 10 o'clock. And then I'm waking up at 6 a.m. to try to plan for the next day before I go in at 9 and start it all over again. So, but it's definitely taught me, I think changed me in the sense of knowing a little bit, but I have a better way of handling situations, I would say.
Have you learned, when I listen to some of that, I think of not taking things personally, kind of separating the customer feedback. Has that been something that you've had to learn?
Yes. It's hard when it's your baby that you put everything into. And this is what I tell students when I would teach them. You're going to have people who are going to be unhappy no matter what. So you have to take what's happening and evaluate. Is this something that I could have done differently? Don't do it again. Or maybe this was a case where somebody was situations where they're just not going to be happy no matter what, but actually let it go. And that's a hard thing to do.
If you could go back and talk to yourself on day one of your business, is there anything you tell her?
No. And I always think about that because I look back and there's a lot of things I've done wrong. I think there's some things we've done right, and there's still always things we've done wrong. And I think that every single one of those things I've done wrong have helped me to get where I'm at. When I first started, I have somebody I look up to as a business mentor who has multiple businesses. And every month I'd call him in the beginning and I what am I doing? I can't do this. This is where our books were for this day. Every single time he'd say, Chelsea, you do this 2 weeks into every single month. It's going to be fine. And what happens at the end of the month? You're absolutely fine every single time. So calm down. This is normal. And I just needed those. And now we've been blessed that I haven't had one of those phone calls in the past probably 8 months. So it's You've been amazing, but that's again something you stress no matter what, I think, with having a business.
Can you think of a story or a client that has been one of your most rewarding so far?
All of them. Like we really do get to know our patients. We really, really build relationships with them. I think some of the most profound cases are ones where I think acne scarring is huge.
Mm.
Um, Acne scarring and sometimes just basic Botox. I'm aging. We're all aging, and there's nothing wrong with aging. There's nothing wrong with wrinkles. But if we can take that, I think some of us just put ourselves on the back burner, even if we're not vain people. If we can improve our skin where we just take 10 years off of our face in 2 weeks, that amount of confidence that I got from doing that, where it was one piece of me where I felt better. I had somebody tell me one time, I don't dread walking past a mirror anymore. And that simple thing was huge because that's a confidence that we just gave back to them. And I hate that people that prior to that, that's what they did every time they'd walk by a mirror. They would hate to look at themselves. And then now to give them where they actually are saying, I'm going to stop and look, but in a good way now because I want to look at my face. That's huge.
As we think about GoTox aesthetics, is there something in your business right now that you're especially excited about?
I think, but we have a spring event coming up, so that one's fun.
Oh,
May 21st. Oh, and this is another one that I am actually really excited about. We're just kind of hosting it. It's two other amazing businesses um, that are doing a class, the tamales and tequila class. So it's Lucy Goosey and Amelia's Tamales, and we're doing it at Provisions and Wind Up. We'll have some other vendors there, but I am very excited about that. And I think the reason I'm so excited is just because I think it's fun, but it's two other Amelia and Nicole. Nicole's another hockey mom who owns Lucy Goosey, and she's another person. There's all just like you, a lot of people that you meet. Sometimes I always say you don't realize who or how you are impacting somebody just by the things you're doing. And Nicole is one of them as well. Cause I would see her thinking I'm crazy. I'm a terrible mom, all this stuff going through my mind for not being home, for doing these events. What am I thinking? And then I'll see her and I know she's doing the same, busting her butt. They're ungodly hours of the day in and day out. And I think, you know what? It is okay. It's okay to be a mom, a wife, a mother, and still run a business. And we're not bad people, nor are we bad parents for doing that. My kids are taken care of. They're loved. They're fine. But that's hard. So Nicole, and then same thing with Amelia, she busts her butt and she has built this tamale business. And she's just an amazing mother, friend. So it's just a fun class to highlight those two businesses. So I'm excited for that one. That's on May 7th. And then we have our big event, May 21st. And we're kind of expanding our functional medicine program too. So I'm also excited to see kind of how that evolves because that's another thing near and dear to my heart with everything I've been going through with health. I think there is a big gap between traditional and functional medicine. And I like to kind of find ways that we can optimize our health where it might just be taking certain supplements or doing things or diet or whatever it could be specific to each person to where how can you optimize your body so that your chances of inflammation, autoimmune, cancer, all that can be reduced.
you actually answered my next question, something you're working toward or dreaming about. And with your functional medicine expansion, I think that's definitely something that's needed in our area. Yeah. So for our listeners, we're actually in Southeast Michigan and there's not a lot of that around here. I'm excited about that for you.
Yeah, I'm really excited because it's something that I think there's a huge gap. My goal is I always want we have to make it feasible and approachable, but feasible. So you can go to many functional medicine clinics. I've been intimidated as a patient to even go to many of them because sometimes it's so restrictive where you have to follow a strict diet for X amount of days. And then you start slowly reintroducing things. I can't do that. So how can I expect other patients to? But I do think you can still take some pieces of that and make it where it is doable for your lifestyle, for you. And maybe we don't go on, the whole exclusive diet and go down the whole functional medicine train, but maybe we can meet somewhere in the middle and still optimize and feel better. You can find a way to do it to where it's feasible for your lifestyle and for each person. And I think you get both extremes. You get the functional medicine where it's almost too exclusive and too much of a challenge, so it's not practical to implement. And then you get the other side where it's traditional medicine and it's more black and white, but not everything is black and white. So I like to kind of blend the two together.
I'm excited to see where you go with that. Well, Chelsea, we are taking a break from our regular questions for the quick lightning round just to kind of help people get to know you. Personally, I hate these questions because I'm not really fast on my feet, but I've tried to make them approachable. So hopefully they won't be too hard. So the first question is early bird or night owl?
Both now.
I hear that.
Be an early bird and I still wake up, but then by the time I'm getting to bed at the end of the day and sitting down, I feel like I'm a night owl now. So it's a little bit of both.
I hear that. Okay, favorite beverage of these three, coffee, tea, or hot chocolate?
Oh, coffee. No, anything with caffeine.
Is there a tool or app that you couldn't run your business without?
Oh, Canva.
Last one, your favorite way to unwind after a busy 12 to 16-hour day?
Trash TV. Not even trash TV. Just some whatever show can just suck me in where I can just sit there and not think about a thing and just put my feet up and watch TV in a quiet space.
Nice.
Nothing else.
All right. So before we get into the end of the episode, I want to give you a chance for people that aren't familiar with what you would find at an aesthetic spa. If someone's going to walk into your spa, what would they find?
Chaos, but I think that I always tell everybody, I like to think that we're not always like that, but I feel like it always is. I swear we can get one big delivery and all of our big deliveries come on the same day and it's a zoo, but I like that part. I don't like that, but that's reality. And it is not a well-oiled machine. And I think that makes it more approachable and more welcoming. You just feel like you're at home. You feel like you're just sitting on your living room couch.
And what kind of services do you have at your spa?
So we do a little bit of all things aesthetics and wellness. So we focus a lot on regenerative aesthetics, which I think also sets us apart. I always say we can be a quick Botox place, but we can also get a whole treatment plan together where we're doing things to help your skin not age. So we can do filler in a very natural way. We do a lot of facial balancing and a lot of filler, but again, regenerative. So we do devices. We can treat skin concerns like rosacea, redness, sun damage, acne scarring. We have a whole arsenal of lasers. We even do tattoo removal, hair removal. And then we also have our estheticians. Our estheticians we are great with teenagers and acne. Men. I love the subset of just teaching people how to take care of their skin. Because a lot of times, especially with teenagers, I think I didn't listen to my mother when I was younger. And I can tell you now, my child's not going to listen to me. So sometimes you just have to hear it from somebody else. So our estheticians are excellent at educating, at giving people a whole plan and they'll evaluate what you're doing. And it doesn't always have to be with our products. I don't care. We want somebody just to be taking care of their skin. So we can give them recommendations, but we can also work with what they have. So we really try to educate and go above and beyond with making sure people are on a good plan. And then we do wellness. So we do IV infusions. We do female and male hormones, peptides, and weight loss medication as well.
Sounds like a great place to come to feel better. And I want to point out, I don't know if the listeners have noticed, but Chelsea shouted out 3 different businesses during her interview here, which is modeling the whole spirit behind Highlight Her, cheering on other business women and highlighting their business. And Chelsea, I wanted to have her on as a guest because we were at a conference together at the beginning of February, so about 6 weeks ago. And she came up to me and she said, "How's your Highlight Her downriver?" And what she didn't know is that I was really discouraged about it, and my second iteration wasn't going the way I thought. The first iteration didn't go the way I thought, and she told me to keep going. She said, "I think it's a great idea, and you need to keep going." And that is why one of the reasons I wanted to have you on, because that is the spirit of Highlight Her, and that meant a lot to me. And as you can see, you encouraged me to go with my husband's idea of the podcast and keep going with the whole Highlight Her. So thank you so much for that. And listeners, I want you to know that she just emulates the cheerleader aspect. If you haven't picked that up, watch her on your socials, because you're going to see her interacting with a lot of great businesses that you can learn about. And she also emulates education in her social media, which I think is great. So it's time to get out your notebook. Chelsea, if someone wants to start something similar, what's one piece of advice you would give them?
Well, if this was the notebook homework, I think one staple for everybody's life, one thing I'm very grateful for is gratitude and
Mm.
being humble. I always say write down, and I need to go back to this myself because I know this. I think them in my head, but I may not always write them down. I think we all should. Write down every day, start of your day, write down what your goal is for the day to manifest it. But then what are 5 things you are grateful for that, either whether it's that time right now, what you're grateful for in that minute, or maybe it's manifesting what you're going to have for that day. But what are you grateful for? And that just sets your mindset for the day. It sets your tone, sets your mindset. And I try to do everything with just positive energy and with integrity. And if you have your heart and your best intentions and the best intentions of others behind what you do, it should work out. If you put good out there, you can get good back. That's
what I noticed. Most people say 3 and you said 5.
Yeah.
You were giving yourself a little extra. Yes. If you'd like to support Chelsea and follow her next step of expanding the functional medicine side of things at her practice, you can find her at GoToxaesthetics.com. And on her socials, she's got the same name. And I'll put that in the show notes for you so you can find her. If you know someone who needs to hear Chelsea's story, go ahead and share this episode with them. Before we sign off, listeners, I want you to ask yourself, what is one small action I can take this week toward my own idea or business? If you ever feel like sharing that with us, you can drop a comment or you can send an email. Chelsea, thank you very much for being with us today. It was a great conversation. And listeners, thank you for listening to the Highlight Her podcast. If this is an episode that encouraged or inspired you, please be sure to follow so you don't miss the next guest. After all, you never know if her story will inspire your next step.